Okay, we're live.
Okay. All right, kind of going down the list. Next thing is, might not be a big topic, but that usually turns into a big topic when I say it. Get extra metadata for the NFS backup driver. Jay, you were going to take?
Yeah, I mean, this one I was just asked to bring it forward by Ronan because he couldn't be here. And looking at it, I mean, we've got the code out there and we've got a spec out there. It looks like we owe a response on the spec, and the code needs to be unblocked. It got a -2 because it was too late in L. We'd like to get it into M. So if you guys want further discussion on it now, we can do that, or I can leave it. I think, Eric, you had things in it that you wanted to comment on.
I actually don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay.
I have some history on it because I was -1ing it early on.
Yep.
And John was in there too, and I think with similar concerns.
Okay.
Initially, it was proposed as a new kind of NFS backup driver. It's a species of the generic NFS backup driver.
Okay.
And when I looked at it, you know, it was fine in terms of the inheritance model. But what it was adding was nothing. There was no extra value add that was specific to that backend, and that was named after the Protect Here backend. You know, so I talked to Ronan about it. He's very reasonable, you know, on this. And we said, look, what is this? We already have a provision for extra metadata in the generic NFS driver. The idea there was, frankly, that we could someday see that NFS backup driver would be keep some extra stuff, and we would add some extra value, like a shortcut to keep stuff on cluster on the backup. So if you were using, but his extra metadata was actually to enable, was to put some useful information in there for helping restores. I'm just going to sum it up that way right now. And that useful information could be useful for any back, and you know, it could be useful for storage vault or CDOT or you know, any kind of generic NFS. And he said, yeah, it could be useful for anybody. And said, okay, that's a good idea. Why don't you make an option to the generic NFS driver instead of a new subclass? Let's kind of set the precedent that we only subclass one to a vendor specific thing when we're adding value from that vendor. That's a legitimate thing. We do that all over the place where, you know, and then we develop a new driver because this vendor's offering something and exposing it that adds value. So this, when you look at it, I think he's fixed most of this, but it had remnants of the earlier approach in the blueprint spec and to some extent in the titling of the review and so on. And one of the things that I think John and Thingy both asked him to do was clean that up and make it clear. One of the suggestions was to start a new blueprint spec. I don't think he did that, but it should be relatively clear now. If it's not, work towards that clarity, but that's the game.
Okay.
Yes, John.
I'm just reading the spec here, and they haven't said what they want to do, or at least the extra message. What do they want to add in the spec?
Right. So push that point, please. Okay. I'm not here to speak. Jay may be, but I'm not here to speak for the spec. I'm just speaking for that dialogue we had.
We never had that very question.
Yeah, I agree that that's still not clear, but my point here is not to, you know, it's more just to set context for that discussion about it. I would like to see it as an option to the existing NFS driver, backup driver, assuming it's worth doing.
I remember asking John about that original slide. It's checking as well. The reason for checking that one is that we need to draw a line somewhere. So this is not a real backend device. It's just like a software based.
I think, yeah, when it was specifically just targeting
the
the
original, original one. first one. I think he changed it and not first step.
Yeah.
Adding the fourth tier, tiers, something.
Right, and I agree with Duncan, looking at that commit message right now doesn't say what the extra metadata is, what value.
Looking at the code, it's kind of in orders right there, because the code has some kind of bizarre open file, right? Like Python code to it, and I have no idea what that's for.
I think all careful.
Yeah, it looks very odd.
Okay.
Okay, so
I will take that back and we'll continue to iterate. Thank you.
more on that. Moving on. Do backup snapshot. Just going down the list in our.
Yeah, okay, so this one, should be straightforward. Basically, we have backup, we can backup volume today. But our customers who, they take snapshots, but then they don't know how to put the snapshots directly. So they just, just basically one layer application. So this allows you to backup snapshots directly. So the proposed app was back there basically just change, modifying the existing backup API. So we'll add another field there to take a snapshot ID. And there was will be a change in the database. You need to record that snapshot ID entry. And then also another impact is on the incremental backup, because the existing incremental backup, we automatically find out the current. So based on the timestamp, we find the latest timestamp, and then choose that one for parent to be incremental. In this case, we need to look at the snapshot as well. So if the backup is taken from the snapshot, we have to look at the timestamp of when the snapshot is taken, instead of looking at the timestamp. So it's a few changes needed for this to happen. That's
Jing, would you just state for everybody's benefit what a driver needs to do to use the fast path on this?
Oh, okay. So so actually there will be a default incantation there. So by default, every driver will get it. It's going to just be by default we're just creating a volume from a snapshot, and then just back up the same way as all the other backups are doing. So that's default. So everyone so all the drivers will get it for free. And then if you want it to be optimal, then we can allow the attach snapshot to happen. Basically, that's kind of related to the non-destructive backup that I did for Liberty. The driver can implement initialize connection, terminate connection for snapshot, and then basically similar. Those are similar functions that you do for volume. This is for snapshot.
So if you can enable an attach of a snapshot, then we don't have to create
so once you
value.
if driver implement those, then it's going to be attached to the snapshot directly. That'll be more optimal, so you don't have to create a volume. So, so those are the details I need to update the spec for that. Some comments on the spec.
So it has to be able to test the snapshot while the volume is in use.
Text the snapshot when volume is in use. That should be fine because snapshot is already taken. We're not going to take it because snapshot is existing. I'm not taking snapshot anymore.
So this is an open.
This
I
is.
think that's like
What do you mean from? So you already have snapshots, right?
yeah, but if you have not sure they'll be maybe they'll be a driver, but the you calculate type snapshots we do with WesterFS, working on FS. The snapshot is in the active data pad.
So you're basically saying that you cannot attach it. That's fine. That is just the optimal way. If you don't have to implement that.
You can attach it if the volume is not attached.
Oh, you're saying the snapshot is even, whether you can attach snapshot or not, to do with whether the warning is attached.
Right.
Can you
Oh,
find the
okay,
snapshot? That's
okay.
important.
Yeah, so, but you can still create a warning for snapshot, right? You have that? You have that? Yeah, so that should be fine.
So it's just the slower.
Yeah,
path
so
or
the
fall
default, by
path.
default, you will get that feature. So, you go ahead. You see
I guess what I'm wondering is if the attached snapshot interface,
You
if
don't
it's going to
have,
be handled in a way where you can call it and it will work sometimes, but if it fails, it'll go to the generic one.
Yes.
Okay.
oh, it's not going, so the driver will have to tell, basically.
Yeah,
So-
just regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that in other places too, where we just reject, outright reject,
Mhm.
so you
Yeah.
can't do this,
Yeah.
while it's attached, so.
Yeah, okay. Seems pretty good to me.
That's awesome. In fact, I think Duncan cited this as an example of the community working on it.
Oh, yeah, you actually
Let's finish
mentioned
it.
that.
Wait before we claim victory. Okay. The next one in the planning Etherpad was online DB schema migrations and RPC API compatibility.
This might be longer, and
Yeah.
we are meeting to fire on you guys at the moment.
Okay. Is that something that we need? That is that, what time is it? 10:49. Okay,
Yeah.
about 10 minutes.
So
What
10
about-
minutes won't be enough problem.
What about objects and RPC version? Sounds like that's kind of
That,
related, but maybe it's-
that's similar, just time. We
Okay.
just put it there
Okay.
because we thought that was one.
All right, let's see what else.
Wait, are we skipping that?
We have an 11 o'clock
Okay.
thing where the ironic folks are going to be in here, so.
Do we just simply add some topic? Because I in the very end, or we just,
You have a new topic?
Yeah.
Add it at the end.
Yeah.
just a bit.
How about the change default over subscription ratio? Is that, I think that should be a shorter.
I get to know that config stuff.
The config stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's that?
We don't need to recap.
Config file weirdness?
Yeah, that one.
All right.
I don't know what
That's
list you're
cool.
looking at, but yeah.
So this was Duncan and
Oh,
Eric?
all right. Hey, Duncan. Config files are weird, I guess.
So this is the whole, people have definitely popped up on the channel and gone, this is really confusing, and Eric being one of them, but we've had lots of people. If you put something in default, it doesn't get picked up by the,
Setting inheritance?
yeah.
Okay.
So where you put a setting, whether it's going to the default, the global section, or whether it goes in the driver section, and then you notify people from the driver things, these are all pretty much random, and you have to know, or go and read the code to find out. This is in grey, and there's some things that are global, what you'd like to be able to set up their host basis.
Yeah.
Like set up their host basis. I think we should just rationalize this and come up with some way of.
The thing that concerned me with this is it seems like there are some settings that we would want to inherit, and there's some settings we definitely would not want to inherit. And how do we differentiate what we do and don't?
Well, I think it's okay to inherit most of them, but the problem is how you migrate existing installs to do that and not break one that's already out there.
Well, there was,
One thought was global versus default.
Oh, having a-
Globally global. Which covers those two cases, you move into a global section. But
Like a shared.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah.
That's shared.
okay, that would differentiate.
But the house migration you could install is hard, particularly if some installers out there written the default section that are currently being ignored. So they currently have invalid, not sent to a config file, but currently you silently ignore config options we don't understand.
So now fault of their installer putting things.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the case where this came up for me. On, so the default LVM iSCSI target is SCSI target utils, the TGT ADM. That doesn't exist on Rel 7. So we want to ship a package that always uses LIO. And so the problem is you can't just put that in the config file, and then when someone creates a new backend for multi-backend, they have to know to write it there, or it like breaks. And that was kind of the whole thing, is we want to have a section where you can set a default that's like actually a default that's going to go, yeah, everywhere like that. And there were some other examples I pointed out when I looked around.
One that's kind of dangerous though, because there are other drivers that use the targets, and if you create a global default for that, then they.
Well, I think I would be surprised if anyone actually uses more than one target on the same machine. I don't. Does anybody know if that happens? Because they all collide on iSCSI ports and stuff anyway. So
you can't use two targets on the same machine.
Yeah,
you
definitely can't use the two most common ones for TGT, ADM, and LIO, because one of them will fail to start. I don't know about the other ones.
How does that work with like solid part? Their driver uses targets and.
No. This is the software targets that we're managing from Cinder.
Okay.
Which is
there's only the block device that is doing I think is an LVM with you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember John had some specific examples in IRC that he seemed strongly against inheriting some of this.
Well, on the other side, the ones that I noticed when I went looking around to find some of this, we have examples like ensure that my SSL certificates are verified, and if you set that in default, they won't be in your driver unless you know to go do that.
Enable it.
Yeah, and so that's one of those places where the config file weirdness results in you having security problems, which is not great.
So
One weak option here is to emit warnings when you put things in the default that are getting ignored. And at least you can hopefully tell us debugging it.
Yeah, I had proposed doing that for the ones that looked especially hazardous, because I think we probably should do that for at least the security related ones. Well, if we do the thing that we were talking about with global versus default, I'm not sure we need to change Oslo config for that, do we?
Yeah, it's just another section that you just have access to.
Yeah. The stuff around changing Oslo config, I know we were thinking about that a little bit when we were trying to, I think it doesn't give you the ability to look at an option and tell where it was set previously, like which section it came from. But I think that's okay for the proposal to have another global section. Because then it just depends on us in Cinder loading them up in the right order or whatever.
So upgrade wise, it's not any worse than it is now. Someone would have to know and to go and add a global section, put things in.
Well, that's the great thing about the global idea is if we add that new section, then nothing will happen on upgrades, and you don't have automatic config changes. People
changes. Behavior won't change suddenly in unexpected ways.
Section is just not there.
Yeah. So that and it makes it explicit that the operator would have to go and add that and say this is a global setting I want for everything.
Yeah.
I like
and a lot
that.
of them probably won't because they've already deployed.
Yeah.
But for new deployments, it's good.
Yeah.
Probably need to change the config sample generators.
And hopefully that would comment it. I mean, one thing that config file would do with these sections is a comment that tells you what's going on there. It'll just make it hard to screw up.
Yeah, because a lot of people will probably ask what global versus default means.
Right.
I know I would ask that too if I wasn't sitting here right now.
It's kind of unfortunate. Default sounds like you're setting the default. But
I understand the recommendation, like, are you saying we have a global in addition to the default?
yeah.
Yeah.
And the new global section will be inherited by all
Or
guys.
is it adding more confusion than?
Well, that's one of the things we were just talking about.
Well, so it actually, if we do that, we can actually migrate away from even having the default section used if we want to. And then you end up with the same level of complexity we have now. But you have to have both of them to have a transition for sure.
Instead of comment global, do we want to call it comment or something? Shared.
Shared.
Something,
I
don't know.
less.
I don't know.
Are they-
Is there anything after all?
You can call it Cinder. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess with the naming of default being confusing in itself, I think I don't have a suggestion, but if we can come up with another name just to help make it obvious that anything you put in this section is going to apply to everything, call it that. Yeah. So are one of you going to put up a spec on this? Or?
Sure.
Keep Kendall and I in the loop, and we'll.
Yeah, I would definitely need to consider
Thinking generator.
Yeah, I'll put it on me to write up a spec for how that would work.
And then this eventually rolls into the other idea you were talking about, eventually, but working on a bit of the dynamic. Big file reading enabled eventually.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to get this fixed first and then move on to that.
Yeah, I haven't followed that stuff. That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna, when we get back, start looking into that a bit more.
Are you gonna have to document what keys are, I mean, what if someone puts key in global that isn't global?
It won't matter for the most part. It's just a change. It's just a question of which one takes priority over the other. So if you go mess up and you write things in global instead of default, for the most part, I don't think it will matter.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if that's true for all keys.
You
Well,
supposedly look for those values in that group. You even read them. And if you're not looking for them in there.
Yeah, what happens with a new thing that is to top level in this new section?
It just
We want it to be read, I think, so you can put it accidentally in one place and it'll actually get applied.
Yeah, it would.
Right. But if you put a key in there that no one's looking to read this.
But that's just how it is now.
Yeah, the same thing. That's all.
Well, the question, are you gonna merge global into default or just merge global into the driver's mix?
I think we should merge global in the default for the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
So the new section is.
No, the idea is to add a section in the config file where you can set values that are then shared by all drivers, rather than.
But
As a
if
default,
one,
those can be overridden.
can be overridden, the
Yeah.
default can be overridden.
They can all be
Can we
overridden.
override?
So,
Sorry.
That's the whole
So-
point of this.
yeah,
Okay,
so the default section
Yeah.
is just settings.
Yeah.
Global would actually be inherited, like into your driver. But then if you put the same value with, or same key, different value in your driver, then that would override that.
Okay,
Yeah.
The cascade.
all right, so I just want to make sure that it's dependent, copied by the oversubscription ratio, because that's how this thing get started. So that should be okay, basically. If we change the default to 2, the others can still override and make it 20. That should work. Remember how this started was the oversubscription ratio. By default right now it's 20, but then for LBM we want it to be 2. So in this case we can just change it. Make the global will be 2, and then the driver can override it to be 20.
Well, so the reason that happens is because the code sets the default to the 20. And so that will still in this system map to the default section and not the global one. So anything that's the default in the code would be at that second level of priority.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I missed what you're.
Well,
So
I think
can this solve the problem? Yeah. So can
yeah,
So,
yeah.
can-
Let's, yeah, so I think if you can write us back, let's review that.
It should be fairly clear.
Yeah, I think so. Once we get this documented on paper, it should be.
Not that different from current functionality, right?
Right, it's not dramatically
Right, it
different.
does not work. That's That's why I just wanted to see if this solves that problem. So right now the problem is the default.
Well,
So
it depends on the option you're setting.
All right.
So-
Well, we
But we'll work.
yeah,
have some folks here to talk about the ironic use of Cinder without Nova. I think we do. I've seen a few people filter. So if we can move on to that now. Who's here from the ironic? Anyone? Okay. All right. And walked out.
Jim, J-roll of the PTL, it'll be there in 5.
Okay. Okay. So we can maybe do another quick topic and then.
Yeah,
Right.
so, yeah, hopefully more than will show up. But,
Okay.
yeah. So he's coming.
Okay. Then we can wait a little bit. Let's see if we have any other quick topics. Minimum required features. Yeah. Well, it should be because we brought it up the last mid-cycles and last 2 summits. Do you want to try it? Let's try to do it.
Take charge, man.
So,
It's you again.
yeah, did you have, was there a specific, are you proposing these be pulled into the minimum required?
Oh.
Oh.
But are we, yeah? I'm sorry, are we talking about?
Someone doesn't want to talk about it.
Hey, you said it was going to be quick.
No, I'm
Remember
talking
that.
about it. So, yeah,
I'm not sure.
so I think the manage and unmanage, maybe it's quite straightforward, right? But it should be, does everyone think that the manage and unmanage should be like required in the future now? Since
I think while they're
Seems to be-
straightforward, they're probably not really important enough to,
to make it
demand it.
mandatory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, do we have any drivers that don't support manage unmanage?
There are.
Sure we
have
do.
some. We have some, yeah. So I just don't know if it makes sense to manage or
and
manage.
there's actually also,
Yeah.
When you push it out another piece of functionality that doesn't work everywhere, thing that can work everywhere, because conceptually
Yeah.
every driver is installed it.
Yeah.
Conceptually every piece installed should have a volume on it.
This one should be easy to.
we may need,
And retelling the
If we
right
want-
rate of.
Those are harder. I don't
Well,
think
the
those.
generic,
There's generic implementation.
generic, but they already work everywhere.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I don't think we can even do that for some. So
Yeah.
otherwise not.
And I think stating it as a minimum requirement when there is a generic implementation might cause confusion for some driver implementers that make it look like they.
So if there's a general implementation that really is like free, it shouldn't be a minimum requirement.
Well, it implicitly is a minimal requirement. My concern is if we state it as a minimal requirement, that makes a driver maintainer think, oh, there's something I have to do here. And I can't just rely on this
So the
generic
point is
implementation.
to check that the default implementation works.
So maybe we should change our vocabulary, right? So as opposed to minimum requirement, we have, we actually break down and say, these are the things you get for free. Feel free to,
Minimum supported feature set,
right?
because it works.
Yeah.
Now, whether you want to do something special with it,
Yeah,
that's
a
up to
good
the
idea.
driver.
And that should probably just be for volumes and snapshots was just added. Right? Import, export snapshots was added.
That.
We should give them usually it's a cycle or whatever.
well, that's what I was wondering about manage, unmanage, if we sorted out all of the paths of if you have a volume with snapshots and you unmanage it, and then can you actually bring it back in the same shape?
Well, we'll wait to find out, you want to stop trying to implement it.
Have we even worked on that enough to like expect that to work? I don't know.
We support manage unmanaged. I don't believe we do that.
I think you're right, and the people implement it and find out. Absolutely not. I mean, we haven't talked about what to do, and nobody's proposed an idea. But I guess the way it works is backends that don't care about snapshot dependencies or anything, and do whatever the hell they want. Those that do, they have to import the whole, all the labs, right? I don't know. What I'm more curious about is, anybody actually talk to a customer actually uses that?
No, that's why I was saying I wasn't sure about putting that in here, because I haven't ever heard anybody talk to me about managing.
I surprisingly never had it.
Warm woods.
Yeah.
Warm woods.
One what?
One customer, one individual.
One customer, one time.
Woods is individual.
Translate.
So I think that, yeah, the only, once this was added, then all the backends that had snapshots, you have to have battery, you can never get rid of that. You can't delete that ball. So I mean, there's a,
It seems like maybe we shouldn't have put it in there in the first place.
well, it's there now, people.
Well,
Yeah.
the point, you can pick things out. You can pick things out and provide an external tool for the customers that want it.
Well, I think we had the conversation, that conversation before we added it, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, that, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so.
Yeah, if you don't remove it, you just want to manage it. It is variable.
Okay, so conclusions, we're not adding any new comments,
Yeah,
okay? Okay, that's fine.
I guess it's good to keep revisiting to see if there is something that we want to move in there, but yeah, I don't think at this point there's anything.
Okay, good.
Yes, replication.
All right.
Okay. Jay? Ironic. Hi.
Anyway, there aren't any more. No, because you want to be up here.
Yeah.
Rob.
Tom's such a nice guy. So I guess there were, Yvonne, you're part of the conversation too. There's been some discussion on using Cinder with Ironic without Nova being necessary. Is that right?
Right.
So I guess if one of you want to lead this discussion.
I'm working on very client because was pretty library to deal with data and with this I'm working on client to get simple CLI Python interface to attaching dashboards. We use Cinder clients API and attachment works without no tutorial. So any user on their own or some web deals can attach one. Or in case you can use this line, put it out like login to attach one. It doesn't work. We would probably going to later.
Right. Ironic already has an effort going on to do volumes. They did their presentation yesterday with respect to that too. So this is just to cover, hopefully to cover the case where the user wants to attach a volume to an existing instance.
Well, is the boot from volume currently that is using Nova, or was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Nova coordinates it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Nova knows about the volume, right? It passes that info down to Ironic. Ironic implementation basically it's like manifest, it just passes the details on the test and gets you with it. Things like that.
I think XW was covered too, though.
Yeah, but it's the same idea. Like,
Yeah.
So this case, I think it's really, really useful. I've seen the proof of concept of things like the attack. We did do this at the Nova volume attached, and it's the biggest tag you can ever imagine. Basically, it lets Nova do the Cinder calls, stuffs the connector info in like its instance metadata, and then you can grab that. So I think this is clearly much more user-friendly, right? The only problem is Nova doesn't know about it. So when you delete the instance, if the connection is still there, there's issues there, right? Where Cinder thinks the connection is still up, and then you can't detach it because it thinks it's still connected and it'll error out, detach, that sort of thing, right?
So do we actually have the host name at all at teardown time? Because we could theoretically figure out all the volumes based upon that host and tell Cinder to clean up
So
the connector.
Nova's, in this case,
The connector.
well, in this case, Nova's not even aware that there's a volume there to tell Cinder.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying just
Cinder has a list
tear
of
down
attachments
all
for that volume to
right.
search and find.
So is that by host name or like?
It's, I think,
Instance
whatever
ID?
is passed in as host, which is usually host name.
You can't always tear it down though, like when I said you can't force it to.
Right, and there can be multiple things with the same name.
Yeah, we don't do anything at detach for Nova, I mean, for NFS right now. Anyway.
So we wanted to start keeping the connector info on this in a Cinder table because we don't now. We need it from Nova when you do it detached.
Force detach, right, after the VM is gone.
So, I mean, if we kind of need to add that to do this, right?
So now we're gonna have two sources of truth for what volume is attached to what instance?
We kind of already.
Nova's gonna be the source of, no, so Nova is the source of truth for who's attached to what in Nova. But now we wanna try to do that outside if a guest does a raw attach themselves. And that's what you want.
Cinder is already tracking that right now.
It is, correct, but like the person that is responsible for all the detached stuff is not on the Cinder side. It's always outside of Cinder. Now we're saying, now we're going to use Cinder's information as the source of truth for that. So does Nova not need to keep track of the block and byte mapping stuff anymore? I mean, it seems weird to have both as a source of truth.
Right, and there's a problem with you could just pass any arbitrary host name, right, and tear down volumes for the other.
Like this kind of overkill? I mean, I
Yeah.
said it before, but
So I'm just bringing it up as an issue that will happen because not all customers are amazing.
Yeah, actually, delete with attached volumes is actually a big problem because what we found out is it just like yanks the power on the machine. And so you still have a half open socket on the other side, which is really bad. So, I mean, deleting with attached volumes is like a serious problem.
John kind of proposed, moving in the direction of we want to be able to do stuff with Cinder that doesn't involve Nova or Keystone or whatever. And so you're going to need all this plumbing too. You can't have Nova be the source of truth if you're getting Nova. So Cinder kind of needs.
No, but we can say that the person that's consuming Cinder is responsible for detaching. That's all I'm saying here.
Yeah, but the problem is when you get into pathological states and you want to do you have a Nova delete or whatever your client is, and something goes wrong, Cinder doesn't have enough information to tear down the connection and clean things up. It'd be nice to at least store it somewhere in Cinder so you can do a force detach without Nova or whatever your client is knowing about it, because that's already gone. You can't do that right now.
You can't do a force detach?
No, because the connector's not stored in Cinder.
Oh, because we had multiple attachments, now we only turn on one.
why do people want to try to be in business? So the thing is with Icegonia in particular, we can't do it attaching. So I don't understand why this is. We probably do it. So you can't do it attach on the parties. I mean, you can, but with open Icegonia in particular, it's just going to scan the attached. So I don't understand what you're trying to do with that.
Well, so all we're saying is the user will need to be responsible for detaching the volume before they delete it.
Correct.
And when they don't, because they sometimes won't, and it's going to be an outlier.
Well, wait, so what I'm saying is, you're absolutely correct. I agree with that. What I'm not following is how this has gotten so convoluted from, if I'm a consumer, I don't care about Nova or Mac or just using this on my workstation, I should be able to just send an API call
that gives me the target information, the IQ and information that I need. I can do text as far as I'm concerned. I don't care.
And so that's what the Brick client does, is calls the attach endpoint or whatever it's called. I don't know something wrong.
Correct.
Gets that information and shells out to iSCSI and whatever to attach it.
And this is where you lose it.
Well, so does that make sense?
I understand, trust me, I understand
Does that
how
sound
the
good?
connections work. It sounds good until you say Rick shells out and look like connection points. I do not want that. I don't want anything to do with that right now.
I have a million non-technical users that have never used that.
And that's absolutely fine. I think that's fantastic. And I think that you can provide them with a mechanism to do that.
I think
That's what this is. Nobody, you know what? Here's the thing. If you would let me finish going through the steps instead of interrupting and drilling into the inconsequential pieces that really I don't care about, particularly OS Brick, then maybe we'll make some progress. Okay. So my point was, if you start by simply providing me with API calls that let me get the information that I need to make an attach, make a call back in to say that I attached it, and a call that can go in to say I detached it, then I don't care. We have everything that we have when we use Nova today. Now, if you want to take it a step further and automate it with Brick and have it do the connection and stuff, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. I don't think that should be a requirement for everybody. And I also think it solves the problem that you guys are talking about.
What part of that, before we get to Brick, which piece of that is missing today? Because the APIs that Nova calls are sufficient for that.
Absolutely, and that's been my point all along.
Well, so the interesting thing is like initial connection is kind of crazy, and there's the one that's purely internally.
And that's the difference.
Maybe the missing piece.
That is one difference. The other thing is keep in mind that the calls that Nova uses today are kind of using some weird policy and context rules. So my proposal is that we should actually have a separate call specifically for external non-Nova users that is a little bit more friendly and a little bit easier, and actually take some of these things like begin attaching and all that crap and kind of just collapses it so we don't have to worry about that. So it would be just basically 4 calls, 4 special API calls. It would be capable of this.
Now you're friendly again.
Yes.
I don't think we have any objection to that. I think the additional thing that I've been working on is something that's actually not part of Brick, it's not part of Cinder, it's not part of Cinder client. It's a new Brick client, which is what he is creating, which is the abstraction even on top of that for user-friendly things that.
Totally cool.
I think we're all kind of saying that.
I don't think we're saying. I don't think we're saying the same thing at all, because there's a discussion here about a new database table and storing vector information and stuff like that. And what I'm saying is, I'm trying to figure out why that's necessary for a user. And Duncan, before he jumps out of his skin.
So it's necessary because it's the thing that attached the volume has gone away, the region attached has gone away. You can't always tear down the connection with just the host name or just the volume on it. We don't have enough information to tear that down from. You need to give back some of the information you gave out during this work connection. We don't store it anymore.
Why?
Yeah, because some people generate custom IQNs for host name and things. So unless you have all of the information that went into the attach, currently we don't store all of the information to do a detach every color.
To be clear, the problem of a Nova instance going away and not detaching is significantly different, because that instance has absolutely nothing to do with your iSCSI connection. So as a consumer that's just using this as an iSCSI target, the reality is there is nothing I can do on the target side in Cinder with no matter how much information you give me. This is going to affect or influence an initiator that thinks it has a connection or has a connection. The only thing you can do is destroy that resource. There's no way to actually log out from the target side. You cannot log out and close the connection. Right. That has to be done from the initiator only.
Correct. But without the initiator information, we can't even find that volume on the target side.
And you can
In
stop,
some instances.
you can
some
stop
action.
serving it completely, it screws up the thing you're connected to, but at least you connect to a new clean thing. Because you're exporting, you're exporting with a different chapter.
So that's a different argument, and it's not necessarily true. But my point to Walt, what I was trying to say, and if you want to add a table, that's cool. Right? I would not add a table. If you're going to do anything, add it to the provider field, that's fine. But my point is the caller, whoever that consumer is, he or she is going to have that information because they make the connection. Hopefully, they're not going to have the initiator.
No, no, that's going to be mad. What if they've gone away? Like the thing
It doesn't matter if it's gone away.
How do you get the volume, enter access that volume again? If it's forgotten that information, like, whatever,
No, I SCSI scan. Oh, look, here's my target. This is my IQN. Oh, shit. Rip this connection.
The issue that we see support volume for is when someone calls Nova delete on a bare metal instance. That bare metal instance, they no longer have access to do iSCSI discover or iSCSI list current targets or anything.
Yep.
And if they didn't write down the IQ, then they don't. Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yep.
Totally.
And I'm not saying that's a blocker at all for this, or that we need new database tables to track this information. I'm telling you, if we don't have that, it's going to be a support thing.
And I think that's fine. I think that's a fantastic point, and I think storing that information is fine. I wouldn't use it as a source of truth. I would use it as I would advertise it as a recovery mechanism. However, I am also going to say again that I don't care how much information you have. If you don't have access to that initiator, you can't get on there, you cannot break that connection anyway. So it's not going to matter.
Well, so we only really see it in the Apple side. It's like
One side is stuck in the other side.
And in that case, you can shut it down.
If it is
It will
only
never
one
do
half,
that.
that's sure. Yeah.
But in the Nova case, you're right, like Nova has the best of the position. But in the ironic case, that's not true.
Okay.
Because your box just goes away.
If that box is gone.
Yeah.
I see. That makes sense.
And in the case of the FC, you can't cut it off from the other side.
Yeah, fiber channel.
Still right.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not. It's absolutely relevant. It's very relevant. It's very important. My point is, I was not talking about fiber channel. I'm aware you can do really cool things on the target side with fiber channel, which is awesome. You can do things like reset the entire bus. I mean, you can do really cool stuff. Absolutely.
So are we good on that point?
So the end result is users have to detach before they tear down.
Right. So, I mean,
Well, no, the point is we need some way to recover that thing when they don't, right? So if we're not, if Nova is not our orchestration, it's an open question, right? So should we keep track of it?
Just stick it in the model update info.
We should fix force detach so it works.
Well,
For this case, for example. That's what you're talking about.
just put it in the model update and break the code. I mean, we've been talking about this for 6 months.
Yeah. So we don't need a new table for it. We already have a volume attachment table that we could put it in there. On that individual.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's just a hash. It's not anything really revolutionary. Not controversial.
so assuming you guys sort that out in the stack. Or whatever. The next thing I wanted to point out is this is going to be a pain for operators to deploy because never access to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And then you also have to make sure you're doing apples right, and you can't spoof IPs and all that good stuff. I don't think there's much we can do about that here, other than document it hard.
Yeah.
You mean in the boot case or in the normal, like this we use?
The normal, definitely the normal usage case. The boot case is unclear to me. I think that's the same network path at that point. Pixie booting the instance. Right, but then there's a case like how Pixie doesn't work well with like bonding and stuff. If you don't have DHCP in your cloud on the tenant networks, then you're completely screwed.
It doesn't work very well without that.
Right. But yeah, interesting. So there's a thing for us to sort out with like tenant-only networking and Pixie booting things at all, right? That's something for us to figure out. But yeah, so there will need to be good docs for operators on like the requirements to deploy a thing where bare metal hosts can reach the data plane. But I don't know what we can do here about that. And I think that's all the issues I see with direct connectivity from a bare metal instance. I really like the direct client thing or whatever that's happening to make it easy for users. It's fantastic. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have questions or what on this topic.
Do we imagine people using the Brick client and Nova attached?
We in this room, or we at Rackspace?
Just in general, right? At Rackspace, right? Do we expect our guests to install Brick client?
Yeah.
And do we expect that to work? So they'll do Nova volume attached, we'll do that other crazy stuff. But then we expect them to use Brick client too, so they don't have to run their own iSteady app. Like, what's the expectation?
So I would like to deprecate the nasty volume attached.
So get Nova out of the business of knowing what volumes are attached to ironic instances.
I think so. There's like product things and ops things to think about that's outside of this room. Nova is not very keen upstream on doing that.
That's true. Yeah. There's no reason not to. Just make
So does that make the delete problem happen every single time, or like?
Yeah, it makes Nova not able to block deletes for attached values.
So we do that, right? We block Nova from deletes. But so does that mean every single time someone deletes their instance, we're going to have this problem where they're going to call support and say, please detach my volume?
Right. Yeah. So we need to talk more with Nova about this. I talked to them at their mid-cycle a couple months ago, and they were thinking, maybe it's cool if you stuff it in like the metadata service, and do it that way. And then Brick could read from the metadata service, or you could use CloudNet V2 daemon mode or whatever.
You can't modify the. So what if we took all of this and we, in Nova's model, regardless of bare metal virtual, going forward was to use the Brick connection stuff. Would it be possible to make the Nova delete what it does? It's first opening and attachment connections.
Nova doesn't. We don't have any access to the instance in the bare metal world. Right.
Oh, that's
yeah. So it's the logout.
Well, yeah, but as part of its. Can you do it? After it's called out, can you? After it's called out,
so we can access the host after that. The general case today is that everything's on the same network, right? The control plane and the tenants. In the future, that's not true. So the control plane would need access to that. It would also need the IQM and whatnot to be able to connect back into it, right?
So that just sounds like we're talking about making Nova delete, not read the BDM table, but instead do the cinder lookup stuff, because we're going to keep track of it now.
Right. So
and then do the same thing that Nova does on delete now, but instead of iterating over the BDMs, it's just going to look them all up from cinder.
It'd have to be force detached too, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I will make this. We'll do it.
That's interesting. I wonder if we have all the driver hooks to do that.
Inside
Because
the vert layer?
Nova delete, it's above the driver layer that it calls cinder detach and things like that.
But it doesn't really matter the order, but like you still have code running on like down the vert layer, right? So I don't know the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's workable. Maybe that's actually probably a good idea. then again, so is there, you'd want to make sure you power off the instance first, right?
Right,
Because
otherwise, well,
it could still be
right.
right.
Detach, it only kind of matters, but yeah, yes, that's true.
Right. So if there's two cases, you can power it off first, or you can force detach it first.
But you still actually have to, because it's racy, right, whether or not it's because the admin's going to reconnect first before you actually get the power shut off.
Oh, there's that.
You want those things to be shut off first.
Yeah, I was just thinking there could be slightly less risk if we shut the power off first, but I guess it doesn't matter because you don't want to firewall and block it. Again, we don't have access.
No, you can do it out from the outside, from the outside into the ironic, into the bare metal.
So Nova talks to your F5 or whatever.
Oh, yeah. But just break the network connection altogether. Done.
I see what you're saying. I guess Cinder could do that, right?
That's kind of what I was wondering. I don't know how difficult that would be, and I think it might depend on the back end. Obviously, it's going to depend on the back end.
Within a bit, it's going to be in-home connected.
Yeah, but it does that by integrating and building on top of Neutron. So maybe you guys can just do that.
I think it's easier to just shut it down.
You think? You're right.
Any other pieces of that?
So do we want to definitely do this Nova work, or do we want to do the rest of this first and then revisit that?
We still have to get the brick line working, done, and ready to go, I think, until that happens. It sounds like we also need to work on saving the initiator side information into the attachment, which we kind of want for force detach anyway.
So I think that part's the only blocker.
Yeah. And I can do that.
Can we write that can we just go ahead and write that you get calls and then build on them and break stuff before and then break stuff it's I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is the brick CLI won't actually need this one, or you can just issue that. Well, I guess they'll have to take some out.
What I would do is have a break that I call that.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, I hope we're not.
Yes.
I'm sure you hope so even more.
Yes. I would like to move on.
You're probably really sick of talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. We're not talking about buying them up today.
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah. The driver will be completely transparent, so where it's coming from.
Cinder driver.
No driver impact. All right, let's take another 10-minute break.
I am gonna investigate Nova stuff.